Just a quick update from myself before going into my thoughts and findings on aim assist. At current, I am simultaneously working on both episodes 3 and 4. I just want to make sure that with tomorrow's update on 1.3 on console, that everything is up to date. Please let me know what your thoughts are on aim assist below, and I'll see you soon. Once again, the argument about aim assist has recently reappeared. The Xbox version was released in May 2019. This version was 0.5 with parts of 0.6 added. During early access, the Hunter control scheme was the only one available, and aim assist was absolutely horrendous. But luckily it got fixed with the release of 1.0, and the argument for whether or not it should even be in the game first started. Following on from that, as I mentioned in the last episode, Nitro Express was actually removed from aim assist altogether. However, it's still very inconsistent. Now that the PS4 community has had a decent amount of time with the game and gone through the same meta cycles that the Xbox did, we are now seeing a call for aim assist to be removed all over, and I'm seeing it on all kinds of social media platforms. Now, I've been using Gunslinger with aim assist on since 1.2, just to see what all the fuss is actually about. And along with the majority of you, I have formed the opinion that it has no place for a PvP competitive game. But as this is a discussion, I want to look at both sides of the argument. For me personally, coming from Hunter with no aim assist to Gunslinger with aim assist, I feel it's actually made very little difference to my actual shooting behavior, but it certainly does come in handy for close quarters combat. Typical of how I shoot, I always pick up my aim first and move towards the target. When it comes to leading and tracking shots, aim assist has absolutely no play into it whatsoever. However, what I do believe the argument is for the snap aiming feature that so many people I see rely on to actually get their kills, and the rising ratio of body shots which the console version has become known for. So, how detrimental is aim assist to new players, and how exactly does it work? Here I've set up a demonstration to try and accurately work out how aim assist actually behaves. As you can see from over the shoulder and with the enemy hunter in the crosshairs, it snaps perfectly to the enemy hunter's head. Once snapped, if you hold that position, you can see you still have to counter with the sway of the weapon you are holding. Obviously, to counter this, the snap is usually followed up immediately by a shot. Now, here's the interesting part. With our crosshairs over the shoulder at center mass, this is what I was not expecting. With absolutely no input to the controller itself, the aim has actually dragged itself up from center mass to the head. Now, given this is a standing target, and in most combat scenarios this will never occur, I have to admit that is definitely not right. And it's not so much the speed that the drag actually occurs, it's just the fact that it actually happens. At distances, that drag will be minimal, but you still have to compensate for the weapon sway. So this brings up the question as to why does aim assist behave like that? Is it to help new players perhaps? There are other games of course, like Battlefield for example, that uses the same sort of physical aim assist lock on, but does this kind of behavior actually have a place in Hunt? Even at a distance, crouching can be fatal as the snap will go straight to the head. What I also wanted to try was exactly how accurate did you need to have your crosshairs over an enemy hunter to enable the snap. And this is something that I found quite tricky to do because even over the shoulder I was fighting with the aim assist as it kept trying to lock onto center mass. From what I've been told, aim assist should lock on to the closest body part, but I think that argument is negligible because it always seems to lock onto center mass regardless. It is the largest hitbox, and in no shape or form does the aim actually snap to an arm or leg. Even at distance, you could argue that you relatively need to have a decent aim. But it is slightly worrying with update 1.3, where the appeal for compact and medium ammo will become more accessible, as the weapons that natively use them are lighter and come with less sway. With an opponent running right at you, there is no change here to how the aim assist actually behaves. From side to side, it is much harder to get that lock, so the counter to aim assist is always to be on the move. And therein lies another argument, because you cannot be on the move and pull up your shots. So going toe to toe doesn't really come down to skill as much, it's down to whoever gets that snap the fastest. And of course, on the other hand of the argument, there is if there was no aim assist, we'd probably all be camping in bushes taking pot shots at one another. Which brings me to, how does aim assist behave with hunters amongst the foliage? Again, as you can see, the aim assist is happy enough to track this hunter through the foliage. We can of course more or less still see him there, and it does stop tracking if completely out of sight and hidden behind bushes. So where do you stand with aim assist? Do you use it, or are you against it? Do you think it helps emulate the fast pace of PC play, or do you think it perhaps hinders new players to the game, and to that point anyone's shooting skill? Should it be left on for PvE and taken off PvP? Or do you think it needs a complete and utter rework? Or perhaps maybe the sensitivities need another looked at? Going forward, this is something Crytek are going to be looking into, so any feedback will be much appreciated. In a future episode, perhaps we can have a look at aim assist on frag grenades.
Okay, both of them.